All right, hi everyone, this is Satoshi. Today I'm going to be reviewing a particular strategy within Splendor called resource control, or that's what I'm calling it at least. So I'm reviewing a game that I played, and I'm going to try to walk through some of my thought process as the game goes on. And I'm going to be focusing mostly on this idea of resource control. So resource control is basically looking at the board and thinking about which colors are the most valuable colors, and then trying to hoard that color off to cut your opponent off of that color. So when I looked at this board, there were two obvious colors that stuck out to me, and that were white and black. So black in the early mid game, in which you have multiple strong cards here that cost black. So you have the green one, the two red, and the three black, all cost black. And then in the late game, everything on the top row requires white, with the two strongest cards here being white dominant. So those are the two colors that I'm trying to cut my opponent off on. So I started this game by taking two black as my first move. Again, going with this resource cutting strategy. Then I take the last black, and then I start to get into white. Now I notice that next turn my opponent can afford this white gem, and again, we notice that the two colors that were really important here were black and white. So I go ahead and I steal that white card, and it's replaced by another card that costs 3 black. So kind of lucky, we were rewarded again for hoarding black earlier on. He goes and takes, again, I'm taking, my strategy here is to cut off white and black. He'll take that white card, and then I went ahead and I bought that green card to start. I bought it, it's a great card, 1 point card on the bottom row to take, but also it helps me buy the white card that I wanted to buy earlier. Again, replaced with another black card. Here he uses his black, and again, going with the black hoarding strategy, I take 2 black, and again, trying to hoard black again. We get lucky once again, drawing the black gem. I buy it immediately. He goes on, again, still hoarding black as much as I can. It looked like my opponent didn't really notice that this was the strategy I was taking. It looked like he was pretty focused on buying that blue card. And this, again, might be more of a beginner player, which is fine. But when you're too focused on one color and it's not the color that is the most dominant on the board, you can get stuck. So now we're in turn 9 here, and my opponent is stuck on just, his only resources are 3 blue. So he's got to be relying on this, whereas I have access to green and black, and again, I've been hoarding black and white gems. So it's going to be pretty difficult for him going forward. We're rewarded again with another white heavy card. So we were pretty lucky, obviously, so far, but hopefully this helps depict the strategy in action. I go ahead and play the white card. He goes and takes gems. He's unable to take white or black because I've hoarded them. I steal the black 6. Again, continuing with trying to hoard the black and white. He's going for green, and again, his colors, green isn't that valuable on this board. very little cards here, use green in their casting cost. I play the black card. He takes this green card here. It looks like he's close to being able to cast it, but again, I'm hoarding white, and it doesn't really look like I'm potentially going to be spending it soon. So he's sort of digging himself into a hole. I again go with my hoarding strategy. And now I'm in a pretty strong position. Again, he's still doubling down on blue, even though that's not really going to help him here. And I have a good variety of cards that I can be buying right now. So I actually again hoard, even to the point where I remove one of my coins to still be able to get a good grasp on black and white here. He takes one off the top, which is sort of a desperate move. Obviously, if he can draw into something that's 7 blue, it's going to pay off really big for him. And he kind of needs to take a risk here, but at the same time, he's now locked. He has used up 3 of his steals, which means he can't use any more. And he doesn't have access to many colors, and he can't buy too much on the board. So he's pretty locked out right now. So the longer I can keep this state of the board, and while still advancing my board, the more ahead I'm going to be. So I decide to take and buy that red card, again giving me another color to have access to. And by this point, with 6 points and a board like this, I need to start formulating how am I going to get to my 15 points. And the way that I looked at it is the easiest way is obviously with these top row cards. So if I take this 5 blue and this 4 black, that gives me 15 points. So generally the minimum amount of cards that you can use to get there, the better, because the more cards you need, each card is an additional turn. So you want to try to find your end game plan with the minimum amount of cards. So the minimum amount of cards is the 4 and 5, but I sort of wanted to just keep going with the trapping mode, and I wouldn't be able to go after 4 and 5 at the same, this 5 blue and this 4 black at the same time, because of how the gem requirements, the total gem requirements are high. So I did opt to go for this 4 white and this 4 black as my strategy, with potentially filling out the 1 point with probably this green card right here. So that was my end game strategy, is to use these 3 cards to get to my 15. And so now once I have that, it's getting there as quickly as possible. So yeah, I collected these 3 because they all add up to getting to this card here. And he's again using his resources to stick himself into 2 colors, and 2 colors that aren't really useful on this board. So this is actually a really good learning video, because it shows what can happen when you're not really looking at resource control, and looking at what gems are valuable. So now I take that to free myself up. I didn't actually need to take that. That was actually a mistake. But I felt like I wanted to continue on perhaps with this sort of locking mode, but in reality, this slows me down from winning. So that was a mistake, but that's okay. I buy that, which gives him a really good resource. And then I start to go through my endgame plan. So probably what happened was I didn't actually think through my endgame plan until that step, which against a top opponent, that could be the difference. That could definitely be the difference between winning and losing, is that one turn, that one misstep. But but I did have quite a lead in this game. And again, going for that guy. Now that I know what my plan is. So I'm just going directly for the game plan. And you can see my opponent has been really stuck. He's needed white really badly. So even though he's all filled up, the first chance to get into white, he takes it. And yep, I'm just going to play off my strategy. So yeah, again, this one pointer was one that I needed to complete my 15 points. It also helps build towards the green cost of that card. So yeah, now it's pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to get 2 more red, and I have 2 open spots ready to get wild cards to get that red, and that is what I do to complete this game. Yep, so that's a brief intro into resource control and how you might use it in your game. So yeah, try it out. Play a game where you're looking at the board and seeing what resources are the most valuable and having that as your primary focus, and see where that takes you. Curious to hear how that works for everyone. I'm still trying to figure out how to turn comments on on my channel. Hopefully I figure it out so that I can start getting some comments back from you guys to see if this has been helpful. All right, thanks everyone.